it's a very special day. I woke up early this morning with gloom on my head. Had a big feeling to climb back in bed. Then I looked in the mirror and somebody said, wake up, wake up. It's time for you to lose the blues, and this is a very special treat. Tell it to everyone you meet that life is all for living and love is all for giving. So this is a very special day. Tell it to everyone along the way that this is a very special day. Up early this morning with gloom on my head. Had a big feeling to climb back in bed. Then I looked in the mirror and somebody said, wake up, wake up. It's time for you to lose the blues, and this is a very special treat. Tell it to everyone you meet that life is all for living and love is all for giving. So this is a very special day. Tell it to everyone along the way that this is a very special day.
We want to welcome everyone to Coffee Club this morning. My co-host I have this morning from Salem Crossing, I have Jamie Burlington. Good morning, Jamie.
Good morning.
And in the hot seat this morning, we do have our own Indiana State Trooper. We have Phillip Hensley with us. Good morning, Phillip.
Good morning.
And it's been a moment since you've been on, right?
Well, I was kind of thinking about it. It's been since 2017.
No way.
7 years.
Wow.
I'm back, baby.
So we've even did the COVID thing and everything, right?
Yeah.
Before that.
Yeah.
Goodness.
That's been a while. So.
Wow. Well, you look actually younger, so, you know,
I will
whatever you're
take that.
doing.
I stopped a car yesterday, and the guy actually said, young man.
Oh, my.
I was like, no, I'm not.
Could you put that in writing? Could you repeat that? I didn't hear that, you know.
Look at you.
That's fantastic. Yeah, that's great. Well, that's yeah. Well, you look wonderful. So glad to have you with us. Jamie, let's thank our sponsors this morning.
Meadowview Healthcare, Walmart, Salem Crossing, Hoosier Uplands, Americans for Prosperity, Mama Rose's, Fox Purley Wealth Management, Dr. Black's Eye Associates, Dr. Mindy Gunn, Marshall Monuments, McAllister Land Consulting.
Yay, thank you to our great sponsors. And Jamie, you are actually usually my Monday girl, but today, or Tuesday, that's right, we switched. That was we did some switcheroos. You're usually my Tuesday girl, but you're here today for Salem Crossing because Holly is getting a big award today.
Yes, because she's earned it.
Yeah.
She's earned it.
Yeah.
She's wonderful.
Yeah. So. Salem Crossing, we are so blessed with them, and of course Meadowview, the two sister facilities are wonderful. And Holly, she was supposed to be in, so she bought a new dress, did everything, which, you know, in our world, female world, is a big deal. Got the perfect shoes. She sending me photos of all this beautiful dress and packed, got ready, got to Florida, and was so ready to, you know, walk the stage, get her awards and everything, and the hurricane.
Yeah, what timing is that? Well, then you have to ask, which one?
Yeah, true. So they canceled everything, and so, and of course, not to mention the storms, there really wasn't much to do, you know, and so then she headed back to Indiana. So, but now, every you know, there's a time and place for everything. Now she's back getting her award, and so we're very proud of her.
That's awesome.
So bring that award, get on back here. Yeah,
that's right.
So. Awesome. All right, let's jump in. Also, we do have some basketball action tonight on Wslm. We're into basketball. We've got tonight. Let me find out. Let me make sure that. Whoa, hang on. Sorry, getting some. Oops, sorry. Hitting buttons over here. It's one of those. I think I'm having my Friday on my Monday. I know we do have games tonight, and I will tell you guys this. This week. Okay, here we go. Yes. Okay. This should be Lady Lions will be playing Orleans. And that'll be at 7:30 tip-off, pregame at 7 o'clock, and that'll be Kelsey and Brock Dawson. Eastern Lady Musketeers will be at North Harrison, and Alabama at Purdue at 7 o'clock. So I think that Purdue is ready to get into basketball. They've had a rough time with their football. So, and anyway, so that's action football. On Saturday we'll have Purdue versus Penn State. That's football. Basketball, South Carolina and IU. Lady Musketeers at Austin, and West Washington and Lady Senators will be at the White River Valley, and Indiana Sports Talk at 9:30 till midnight. So there we go. That's the sports action. Exciting.
Fantastic.
For sure. All right, and we did find out not only, and let me make sure that I get your title right, Philip. It is, you are actually filling in for Carrie Halls right now, right?
That's right. Carrie Holes is out with a little bit of medical time, so he's kind of getting just rebuilt a little. And
was he riding a bull too?
He will tell he would probably argue yes, he was.
Hey, if Carrie, if that's our story, we're gonna stick to it, right?
There's not much that guy can't do, but he's going to be coming back probably in December, at least on light duty. I've told him, hey, you take as much time as you need, young man, and come back maybe next year, whenever. But yes, I am filling in for him. My title still is Master Trooper. I do patrol our highways here in the Sellersburg district, which includes Floyd, Clark, Washington, Harrison, and Scott counties.
Well, we are so glad to have you right here in this county, and that's a big area to cover.
It's a lot of highways and a lot of very dense population. It's a very diverse district in that you're very populated to the south, and then you have your traditional sort of Indiana communities as you get further north, like around here in Washington County and Salem. So you get a good taste of everything. With this district. It's very, very unique.
Yeah, definitely. I think though, you go further up north and you've got all the city and all of that going on, and I think down here you have so much we just talked about the rural area. It's a different vibe, isn't it?
Right. And not only when you get further south, when you're in New Albany, Jeffersonville, Clarksville, those police departments are much larger. They handle a lot more of their calls. We're there either to support or patrol mostly the highway.
Right.
When you come up here, for example, with Washington County, our troopers work very close with Salem PD, Washington County, to where we're responding to the same calls together, and it's more of a united front with law enforcement in the area. So that makes it kind of special, not only just for us, but for Salem and for Washington County to kind of have that bond and that working relationship, and we certainly thrive on that, to kind of help folks when they're in need, when they're in times of trouble.
Yeah. I love that, because I wanted to go there, because when you hear a call out now, like usually you have like the fire department, the EMTs, the police, and you have the different, all of the different groups, all hands on deck, which I love. And that's something that has been going for a little while now. But, at first, you kind of just have the one group come. Now I think we're seeing more, if you're on that other end, what a blessing when you see all those cavalries coming in and whoever can get there first. And also we know too, like lifting or whatever needs to be done, it's such a blessing to have those extra hands. But I think with the Indiana State Police, you guys are so valuable, and you guys come in too with our sheriff's department, with the city police department. I mean, you guys just all blend so well. Has that always been that way? I mean, it seems like it. Yeah.
I've been doing this for 20 years, and that's always been kind of we're not here to bully you or push you around if you're another agency. We show up. What do you need? What do you need us to do? Mm-hmm. It's your area. You tell us what you need, and we'll help you do it.
Yeah.
Certainly if we're first on scene, we'll take charge. We'll do whatever we need and ask for your help and assistance. But we're a resource, and if you need our help, just tell us what you need, and we'll get it for you.
Right. And I think that's so valuable, and I think it's so. I love the relationship, and I think it's so nice to have that. And everybody, when you bring different groups to the table, everybody has different talents and gifts they can give, and specialties or what works best. And I think it really complements each other.
It does, and we may have more training and do more things through the course of the year than a smaller agency would be able to do. So we may have more of a newer knowledge base, more, just whatever we can do to kind of help lead and, in effect, make other agencies better, kind of under the table, to where it's not we're not advertising it, we're not trying to show off or showboat or anything like that. It's, hey, we're just here to kind of do the same job. We're doing the exact same thing, just in different capacities. So that's what we're about. Just having that united community front for law enforcement.
You guys probably bring a much different perspective being in other outlying cities that are larger. You've probably seen maybe a few more things.
We see a few more things, deal with a few more folks, and
a little different types.
A little bit more kind of just, and that helps too, having that diverse experience of, oh, we've seen this, we've dealt with this before, here's the best way to handle this. Because no two situations are ever the same. There's always some sort of nuance to it that's unique. So having just a little nugget of knowledge that may help, hey, we're all about it. Just kind of share the wealth.
Right. And I think too that if you go back like to a bigger city, it's more condensed. In a rural area, there's still things going on, and you guys are still very active and doing things, but we just might not see it as much. It's not right there.
With a large, let's use like Indianapolis for example.
Okay.
Indianapolis Metro is going to be more responsive and reactive to events that happen. They don't necessarily have the time and the resources to be proactive. Whereas when you have a little bit more quiet community, you have the opportunity and the time to be more proactive, to start trying to dig deeper, looking for the criminals, looking for example, drug activity, and try to solve those issues because you're not constantly responding to call after call after call. So in a place like this, you do see less crime, less issues, because law enforcement has more time to be proactive, and that's certainly where you want to put your resources to keep that crime and just sort of that troubled activity to a minimum.
I love that. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's good. Stay in front of it. Yeah, that's
right.
Very good. Yeah.
Yep.
And as far as like accidents and stuff and driving, we're pretty good drivers around here.
Unless you throw in a roundabout.
Actually, I think we got it. We're doing
We've
good.
done better,
right?
yes.
When you think about the purpose of a roundabout, to try to eliminate those T-bone crashes and things like that, to reduce the severity of crashes, I know it's because it's different and people are like, this is awful. I understand that, and it takes some getting used to, but when you take intersections that do have roundabouts, they actually turn out to be safer in that the likelihood of having more severe injuries is certainly reduced. Now, you may still have your crashes because people are like, oops, just
I was supposed to yell.
I wasn't supposed to do this, or I did this and this happened. Yeah, we get that.
Well, forever we've been doing it backwards because of the square, We're different than everybody.
Absolutely. If you could drive the set up square, you can.
You're good,
you got it, yeah.
Like, how do you know you ain't from around here?
Oh, yeah. Especially around the spring break and stuff like that, or like holidays, you can always see the newbies, you know what I mean? And I always tell them, let's be gentle to them, you know what I mean? They don't know what,
The out-of-towners are here.
Yeah, you could always see, They usually have a smile on their face because they're laughing at, what is this, you know what I mean? Yeah.
And laughing because they messed up.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I just remember when they were putting that in, there was so many community members that were so upset about the roundabouts.
Yeah. But it's
worked out well.
Like Phillip said, that we've had a lot less crashes than what we did.
And that's the goal. And that's certainly our goal with traffic enforcement is to reduce the number of crashes, to keep people safer out there on the highways.
Right.
So by having that extra means of redesigning a roadway or an intersection that is high in crashes, hey, let's get it fixed. Let's figure out a solution beyond just going out here and writing tickets. People certainly don't like that.
Right.
Well, I'd rather drive through a roundabout than get a ticket, I guess. So whatever it takes to try to maintain and kind of build the safety on our roadways, we're all about it.
You get into tickets, and you're getting into shoe money. I won't get the shoes, you know what I mean, that I want, you know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm not going to,
don't want to mess that up.
No.
That's right up there with the casino and Yeti cups.
Yeah, we were talking about that. Yeah, I don't do casinos. No. I'd rather have that money for shoes. Yeah.
Yep, I get it.
But going back to the, or Yetis.
Tasers.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Whatever, or wasp spray, whatever you need. But going back, I want to rewind. This should have been my lead, so I'm going back a little bit here, taking some paces back. Let's go back, Phillip. 20 years ago, let's hear your story and tell us a little about yourself. That kindergarten. I can remember being in kindergarten and. And maybe boys would, I want to be a police officer, or or those, the elementary school, and then onward on that path. Was that your
Not so much. And I think, honestly, Becky, you could probably relate to this better than most because you're in the exact same situation. Growing up, my father was a police officer in Jasper. So I grew up in the backseat of a police car, and I got to watch, the work he did. And you want to talk about just an all-around great policeman. He did the job just phenomenal. You couldn't have done it better. So having that type of role model and growing up and keeping that in the back of my mind, even though I went to college, my first bachelor's degree is in electrical engineering. I graduated from the University of Evansville. Obviously, I didn't entirely pursue that because shortly after graduating, I started with the state police in 2004. So he was a city police officer. I kind of trumped him a little bit, joined the state police, and that it was just in the blood. You know, there's a little bit of fire and passion based on growing up and seeing that type of lifestyle. So I knew exactly what I was getting into. You progress forward, you know, the different things I've done, the different things I've seen. Certainly it's been 20 years of wow, you know, a lot of ups, a lot of downs, you know, times where it seems like it's gone really fast, times where it's certainly drug on really slow. That puts me here now to where, yeah, I could retire in 5 years. We have to do 25 with the state police before we can retire. But I kind of tell people, because especially our class, we've hit that 20-year mark. It's like, are you going to leave in 5? You kind of become a free agent in 5 years. Once you hit that 25 mark, it's like, yeah, if something else comes along, you could leave, but otherwise you stay playing ball for the same team that you're on, you know. So I think in order to keep going and keep wanting to come out here and do what I do, you still have to have that fire and that passion. And that passion goes all the way back to being a kid to where it first started. So, no, a lot of kids, you know, be like, oh yeah, a policeman came to my first grade class and I knew I wanted. No, started in home. It was from Dad.
That.
So.
Oh, and your dad, did he see you become this young man?
Oh yeah,
that's
yeah.
the greatest.
Yeah.
That's the greatest. That's,
yeah, because he'll still. I mean, when I talk to him, he's still.
Oh, we still. Okay, awesome.
Oh yeah. He still worries, like, oh, be careful, it's crazy out there. I'm like,
oh my goodness.
I got this, man. We're all good.
I love that so much.
Yeah, you know, and especially for him to go back to the 80s to where you see where society is and the level of crime. You fast forward all the way to the 2020s.
Yeah.
Certainly a little bit different, and you know, to watch that evolve and how law enforcement in general has evolved. Yeah, I understand 100% why he says, "Oh man, you got to be careful out there." Yeah, I get it, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, I got this.
Well,
Still a little bit of that kid versus dad.
Yeah,
I mean, 100%. Very, very
I
popular.
love that so much. I'm so glad you shared that story. I love that because, you know, you think, and he knows what you're doing is not easy, and you know, and I think that's one of the most rewarding as a parent when you get to see your child and see the honor that you're bringing to your family.
And a lot of the things that we see out here doing the job, it's hard to talk about with people who aren't familiar with what we do or what we experience. When I pick up the phone and call him and tell him a story, 100% gets it, you know, because he's done it. So being able to have that connection and have that resource to just pick him up, oh, Pop, you're not going to believe this one. And
can't make this up.
He's like, yep, I believe it.
Yeah, right.
You know, he gets it. So
yeah.
Plus that helps keeping it from going home to where you're carrying a lot of that.
Right.
You know, with a lot of officers, they'll have some of the things they see and deal with, and then try to take it home to their spouse and their kids, and it becomes kind of difficult. You have to have that outlet to kind of vent a little bit, if you will.
I love that.
And having that resource, that's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. You're very blessed on that for sure. Well, I think you bring up some good points too, because it is hard. It's hard to turn it off and then turn it on. You know what I mean? It's hard to, you know, because when you know, it's, you know, like we just did Veterans Day. You know, we talked about our veterans. You know, they're all hands again. You know, doing all the, you know, they're right there. You know, fighting for our country, and then they come home and it's a different. You know, you got to switch, and it's a little bit. And of course, yours is every day. You know, you go from you put this uniform on and you're Indiana State Trooper, and then when you put your dad pants on or dad clothes on, you know, you become a dad or a husband. You know, and so I think that's. A lot of hats to wear, juggle, kind of, yeah. And
that's something some of the new guys will talk about. Oh yeah, driving along, and I'll tell my wife, well, that plate's expired, or that guy's.
Yeah.
Stop it right now, because trust me, she doesn't want to hear it. you're going to get on her nerves.
Yeah.
Don't leave that stuff at home. Dial
Yeah.
it back. Just try to relax and don't be that
Well,
guy.
I just heard an officer the other day. We were talking, and he said that he does that with his wife.
Oh,
And he's like,
see?
yeah, he said he can't stop it because they were telling me that she was laughing because she said, yeah, everywhere we go, he's like, you didn't use your turn signal. Like he's always calling out. Of course he's not in uniform, but he's just calling out what everybody's doing.
Yeah.
Well, I think if you're a commissioner, you're looking at the roads all the time,
True.
I think, and don't think that there's nowhere that I don't go that I'm listening to some radio station trying to figure out what they sound like or what they're doing,
100%. I totally agree.
It's hard to, you just can't switch that off.
It's hard to turn that off.
Yeah, it's true. But, so that's such a cool story. And, we are very blessed to have you, Phillip. And, let's talk about some of the things though that have changed through the years. I guess we're seeing a lot more. This is my take. I would think there's a lot more out there. There's a lot more, I guess, if you will, substance and different things that we're dealing with. Maybe maybe it was years ago we dealt with it too, but maybe it's more in the forefront. It's easier to get. We have a lot more technology. We have a lot more, I guess, ways of getting things. That is this something that I guess you take it and go with that. Yeah.
Let's look at methamphetamine,
Okay.
for example. You dial back 20 years ago, the big thing was the elaborate labs for manufacturing meth, and that went even into stealing anhydrous ammonia in order to cook it, and it took our clandestine lab teams to come in, clean all this up. That started scaling back to being able to make meth in just a soda pop bottle. Then, because of the influx of methamphetamine coming across the border, it was so cheap, now it's been priced out to where it's more expensive to cook it than it is just to buy it as it comes into the country. So that transition of just meth, then people are wanting to chase the high, moving back into heroin. We've seen more heroin, especially coming up from, just along the I-65 corridor, and then the fentanyl. So the shift, we still see the meth, but it is absolutely not uncommon to see cocaine, to see heroin, to see the fentanyl, because people are constantly chasing the high that they can no longer achieve. So in the process of that, yes, meth labs, extraordinarily dangerous and certainly toxic if we come into contact with it. You're taking it to a whole new level when you're dealing with fentanyl. Just by touching it, you could go into, having a cardiac arrest and issues with that. So in the process of wanting to kind of increase the high because the old high is no longer good enough, that's becoming way more dangerous. And the level of trafficking, just trying to ship it, trying to having your communications, online and sort of on the dark web, if you will, of ordering things and having it moved around, the sneakier ways of trying to hide it in your vehicles, how you move it. The criminals learn just the same as we do, but I think we're a little bit on the back end of it, trying to catch up always, because the criminals are constantly coming up with new ways of doing things. So we have to learn from that, try to just keep up as best we can, and it continues to be a process. So in that process of just focusing on the drugs, on what's coming through, we have to be as proactive as we can, going out of here, doing highway interdiction, looking for the signs, looking for the right things, digging deeper than just, hey, you were doing 82 and a 70, here's your warning or here's your ticket. We got to dig deeper. And for the people who aren't involved with that, it may start to feel a little bit intrusive, but in the back of your mind, you have to think, hey, at least they're doing their job and they're out here looking for this, because it is a problem, and it is going to continue to be a problem until we fight. It's going to be a war that we're never going to win, but we can scale it back, and we can try to cut into it as best we can. And that's pretty much the position that we're left in.
That's scary.
Yeah.
It can be scary, and especially for kids, knowing that at some point our younger generations are going to continue to come into contact with this, and the possibility of at least with Indiana not having marijuana legalized now, that could change in the next handful of years to keep up with a lot of states that have, and then you deal with the states that haven't legalized. That marijuana comes into Indiana. So it's a constant battle that we're trying to fight, but we're not going to stop. We're not going to stop fighting it, because it is worth fighting, because it's about keeping our communities safe. It's about keeping the drugs out of the system of our folks and because the trickle down effect of that drug use is just tremendous. It's horrible, you know, because it does affect more than just the user. It affects everyone around him and their kids, and so on and so on. So the more we can do to kind of keep fighting that, we're not going to stop. We're going to be out here fighting it as hard as we can until we're done. But we're, you know, and with that just being one example of a crime trend that we continue to see.
Right. Well, I think you have beautiful families that have been affected, and it's, you know, we always, you know, feel for them, and I think that you know, and then you hear, you know, and I think, you know, as a mom, as a dad, you're like, you know, somebody help your child, but I you know, there's really, like you said, there's no answer. I mean, if we had an answer, we'd be a millionaire. You know, I mean, if you had an answer to this is what you got to do to stop it, right? But keeping it under control is at least what we can do, and keeping it, try to keep ahead. And they're very creative, you know what I mean, and we know that, and you have to kind of figure out what's going on, and kind of figure out, stay tuned, because there's always something new around the corner. I'm sure every day you probably, and I'm sure the shock factor isn't, you have that no more. You probably are just
you're just not as surprised as you used to be. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
It takes something to really be like, are you kidding me? That really, that's going a ways. And, you know, to think that, you know, we may see that, I don't want to see that at this point. I don't want to be, don't shock me.
Right, yeah, no, right,
Keep
yeah,
your
right.
surprises.
Yeah, really, yeah.
Yeah, Lily, my daughter, graduated last year, and there wasn't hardly a kid in her graduating class that wasn't missing a parent for some sort of sad story. They, you know, almost all of them had some kind of sad story, and I was just so surprised by how many kids aren't raised by their parents anymore, or one parent, or.
And it's difficult because that's not something that just weighs on you in the moment. As a kid, you carry that through for the rest of your life. So that certainly becomes hard. But it's almost like the Tom and Jerry cartoons. You know, Tom's constantly chasing Jerry, but he never quits. He never necessarily catches him, eats him, but he doesn't stop either.
Right.
That's where we're at.
Right. Well, I think that, and I think it's always, you know, to bring to the forefront on conversations of talking about how much, to me, I'm not saying that the other drugs were not scary and dangerous, but now just touching it, or I don't remember what, there was something like if you try it one time, you're going to be almost like hooked on it, you know what I mean? And we know there's like really scary stuff out there, and then they lie sometimes to the people, you know, and I remember that going through some colleges where they were getting bad stuff that they were giving to the kids, you know, and that was very dangerous too. And
we'll go back to methamphetamine. When you introduce it into your body for the first time, the high that you have, you never achieve again. So you're constantly chasing that original high, but you never get it. That's why the fentanyl started being cut in with the meth, to try to bump it up. And then you kind of skirt the edge of how much fentanyl, and then you overdose. Or switching around with the heroin, same deal. You start adding the fentanyl to the heroin, trying to chase that original high that you can never achieve because your body's already experienced it. So it's, and just thinking, oh, let me get it from this person. Oh, this guy says he's got the best, maybe that's it. That's sort of the mindset and the process that people start thinking once they have it in their system and they continue to go after it. And that's, the more you put in, the worse it's making it on your body. And you've seen the pictures, you know, online and things of, you could take a beautiful person and then once they start and just completely fall downhill. But
heartbreaking. Yeah.
That's because they have to have it. They have to try to get that, and their body's just saying, you need it, you need it, you need it. No, you don't.
Yeah, right, yeah. Saw a sign that says, go with nugs, not drugs. That's me. I can do nuggets.
That works. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just stick with my coffee.
I have not seen that on the Indiana State Police website. Let me just say, I haven't seen that sign. That was a. But you know, I'm not even mad if they do put that up there, right?
A tweet or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe so. Phillip Hensley says, "Do nugs, not drugs."
Nugs, not drugs. Yep.
Right there. Well, McDonald's will endorse you for sure on that. But Phillip, no, we are a serious matter. I'm trying to make light of it because it is, and I feel sorry for the families, and you know, and I hate that because I know that that we, you know, have that going, you know, that does happen, and I feel that it's very touchy and very difficult. But I appreciate you explaining, because I don't know all of the different drugs, but I explain how addictive they are. So it's best just if you just cannot even touch it. You know what I mean? Just don't even start it.
Right, and that's just the illegal side of it. That doesn't include, you know, the prescription pain medications, which that in and of itself has become an epidemic of, you know, people being prescribed the pain meds, they get started on it, and then because of the extra use, oh, I'm better, but I still need my meds, and start kind of pushing along those lines, you know, the OxyContin, the hydrocodone, those type of essentially opioids that are coming across as prescription meds. And you get hooked on those, that's a tough cycle to break as well, just about as rough as the illegal stuff.
Is this something that we're seeing better? I thought they were kind of cracking down on some of that. Are we doing better in that? Are we making progress?
I think to an extent we're making progress, but we still see it. We still, because it's so easy to push off. You know, if you just have a handful of pills, it's pretty easy to hide. You know, you don't necessarily think as much of it. If you see it, it's kind of, whereas if you have a corner baggie with a white powder, it's like, what is that? You know, what are you doing with that stuff? You know, a pill bottle with your name on it with pills that you're either selling off to somebody or taking way too many of, a little bit easier to conceal. Plus, you got the crutch of saying, well, I've got a bad back. Oh, do
My
you?
doctor gave it to me.
Yeah, I got it from my doctor. My doctor prescribed it to me. Well, okay, under the understanding that you're in serious pain, but you're not. You know, your pain has now become your addiction to the medication.
Well, I know when I have had my accident and going through, they didn't give me anything. You know, they told me take some Tylenol or ibuprofen.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and this was pretty serious, so, you know, but I wouldn't have taken anything anyway, but they didn't, you know what I'm saying, and so I thought, well, maybe they are doing better on, you know, I mean, I'm not saying that there's not a right reason for some things. I don't want to take away for somebody, you know, I mean, on that. I'm not judging or anything like that.
Oh, absolutely.
But it can be, and it seemed like used to, maybe there was a little bit more, and I think they've tightened the belt a little bit more on that. I think that
you take for example, someone with cancer and undergoing cancer treatments and dealing with that pain is on another level that can't be described.
Right.
So you certainly understand something like that as an example.
Right,
But if you're in a situation where you can get by taking a few ibuprofen a day or something like that, that's going to come out a lot better for you in the long run.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm glad to hear that, and I like the steps, and, you know, it seems like in everything we're learning to make big steps and making progress, and hopefully, you know, we'll just keep making that progress and going forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So some other things that we want to talk about too. We are, you know, the seasons of change. So we're getting, you know, we've had election, we've had Veterans Day. Now we're heading into Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And that means everybody comes home, right?
Yes, we're going to put a lot more people out on Indiana's highways. That's a fact. And with the increased traffic, that's where we're going to be out there as well. Pretty much, you can start expecting to see more patrols from us, ranging from now pretty much through the end of the year. The holidays, the best thing that I can tell you straight up, slow down, take your time, leave early. You know, you're going to have the traffic.
Words of wisdom.
Coming up here on Thanksgiving, then Black Friday, and then people with their, you know, that's a zoo. I mean,
gosh, I would hate to be an officer that had to work some of these ladies on Black Friday. Oh my goodness gracious!
Philip's not answering his phone.
Yeah. Do you take that day off every year?
As a matter of fact, I will be off.
Actually, I do.
Yeah.
No, it's
that's for the rookies.
Right.
Yeah, young
you get out there and
for the young bucks out there.
That's right. You know, the more you get rushed, the more inclined you are to speed. And if you leave early, knowing full well, you know, it should be absolutely no surprise if you're a seasoned driver or not.
Right.
Holiday time means more traffic, and more cars out there means people are going to be in a hurry. They're trying to push around, and that's where you have the crashes and the accidents. And it can be just as minor as a fender bender, but I can tell you that's not always the case. Yeah. I had a string, gosh, probably at least 6 years in a row when I was doing crash reconstruction out of the Jasper district. Either Thanksgiving Day, Christmas Eve, or Christmas Day. For 6 years in a row, I was being called out to work fatal crashes.
Oh.
Some years, both Thanksgiving and Christmas. There's never a good day to lose a loved one in a traffic crash, ever. But the holidays, you know, you're supposed to be with your families, you know, not
Right.
dealing with something tragic like that. But the question usually becomes, how could this happen? Well, there's always a reason why a crash happened. And a lot of times you can dial it back to speed or unsafe lane movements, or when you get right down to it, being in a hurry. And we just have to, when you're behind the wheel, put the distractions down. You know, keep that phone out of your paws and put your paws on the steering wheel. You know, make sure you're focused and being attentive to your driving and the roads and the traffic around you. That's your first and foremost mission when you're driving a car. Drive the car. You know, leave everything else alone. So we're going to be focused on the speed. We're going to be focused on the potential reckless drivers and the distracted driving. Those are going to be our big hits that we're targeting pretty much between now through the end of the year. And those are things we're always looking for. We're just adding more people out there to add extra set of eyes to keep our Indiana citizens safe.
I love that. Well, and I think that's something we need to make sure that our mindset, we're realizing that you're the good guys and you're the ones, you know, that are keeping our roads safe. And, you know, when I see, you know, an officers, you know, I'm glad to see that, because I know that they're monitoring either the traffic, the distractions, or, you know, and I think that's what we want to, and especially whether it's, if we don't even want to think about for ourselves, but for our loved ones that are on the road, whoever, you know, is on the road. And it can be so quick how seconds matter.
Yes, and, you know, if we pull you over for a violation, you goofed. You know, there's something you messed up, you did wrong. It's nothing personal. You know, we're just out here trying to correct the behavior. We're trying our best for voluntary compliance with the law. We want you to, on your own, obey traffic law. When you get a little wild, get a little crazy out here, that's when we got to rein you in and put you back into the, kind of shepherd you back into the flock with the rest of the safe drivers out there. That's all we're doing. So it's nothing personal. It's just our job. Right.
And it's amazing how many vehicles don't have turn signals.
You know, isn't that amazing? And
you know, they got these brand new cars, but for some reason they didn't come with a turn signal.
I mean, their headlights shine to freaking Texas, so you know.
Yeah, those LED lights, man, they're sharp, but apparently they didn't catch up with the turn signals. I asked a driver yesterday when I pulled her over. I said, I noticed you didn't change use your turn signal when you changed lanes twice. Are your turn signals working okay? She's like, I think so. I was like, you might want to double check.
That's my biggie. I just like, okay. But are we doing better with the hands down? I mean, are we doing with the hands, the phones? Are we putting the phones down better?
To be honest with you, no.
What?
We're not. Because I think there's kind of this thought of either I can handle it, I can do it, or it's just for a second, but you're still holding it, or you're holding it up, kind of blocking your field of view out the windshield as you're trying to drive. Being distracted when you're messing with the phone is almost as bad, if not worse, than drunk driving. Because at least a drunk driver is trying. You know, they're trying to look and pay attention to what they're doing.
At least they're trying.
I mean, as horrible as that sounds,
they're gripping and grinning.
The difference is a driver who's distracted looking at their phone isn't looking out the windshield. They're not even looking where they're going.
True.
You know, a drunk driver's at least looking. So
trying to not get pulled over.
Exactly. They're on a mission and not to avoid us and do the best they can. At least they're looking out the window. A distracted driver's got their head looking down into their lap at their phone. And now that's absolutely not to, you know, drunk driving. You're toast if you do that. You're
yes,
bad.
Not promoting.
No,
absolutely
because
not.
I feel like here's my.
You know, I'd rather you drive drunk than text. No, that is not what the United States
not
Police
drugs.
said.
No, that was not what was said. No. No. We've got to. No, I'm recording this. That is not what he said. But what I'm at with the drinking and driving, I feel like now we have so many groups that will come pick people up. I feel like there's no excuse.
There's
you know, I know right here locally, our police, I know people, I know a lot of the places or whatever that maybe serve, they will, I've not used it, but I'm saying is that there is no excuse for people not to, or to get behind that wheel when there's so many other people of ways of getting home, getting places.
Right.
Don't you feel this day and age?
Oh, absolutely. There's just no excuse. You go back in the day, yeah, you didn't have cell phones. You didn't have a way of getting a hold of somebody to come get you. You didn't have ride services.
No.
You've got all the above
Uber.
now.
Look at Uber. Look at,
Yeah,
rideshare. Look at, I mean, taxis,
You've
whatever.
got all of these options and opportunities to get home
Yeah.
safe, and you decide to pass it up because you think you can make it.
Yeah.
No, there's no excuse for that.
Right.
None at all.
Is it still true that most accidents happen within a certain mile radius of your home? Is that still statistically true?
Because most people don't really venture out. The average driver doesn't really go too far from their home. You know, you think about it. If you live here in Salem, you go to work, you go to the store, you do your thing, and then you come home. On an average day, you're not going too far from your home. It's a pretty quick trip. So yeah, that still kind of stands as being true overall. I think when you start getting away from home, you plan for your trip more, and you're not familiar with the road, so you're paying a little bit more attention. So that kind of helps a little bit keep you safer as you get further from the house. Just because you want to be more focused because you don't know where you're going. You've not necessarily been there, or it's an unusual trip that you don't often make. So when you're a little bit more laxed when you're closer to home.
I can definitely see that. That makes sense,
For sure.
But yeah, to get to, as far as the distracted driving, stopped a handful here the last week. You know, here they are just messing with their phone, texting away. And it makes it kind of easy. You just drive down the interstate and look over and see they're on their phone. It's like, come on now. Indiana is a hands-free state. You are not supposed to be holding the phone or manipulating the phone while you're driving. Sitting there texting or doing whatever. It goes so far beyond just texting this day and age. You could be on social media or what, FaceTime. You know how many drivers I stop when you go up there? They've got a FaceTime call going on. It's like, why not just speakerphone, please? What?
Yeah.
Like, hang on a second, you look over, and oh no, it's live. It's like, what? You can't do that. What are you doing? What are you actually paying attention to if you're FaceTiming
Your
while
loved
you're
one's
driving?
going to watch you get a ticket. Okay, so
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, hang on a second. I need to pull your attention to my direction now. Because,
exactly.
Oh,
Are you finding most people are in compliance? Are people nice to you? I hope they are.
You know, it's all about how you talk to them.
Okay.
And I can say with, since I transferred from Jasper to the Sellersburg district in April of 2021. I've led the district in traffic enforcement since. So I pull over more cars and write more paper than any other trooper in the district. I've gone to traffic court in the last 3.5 years one time. It's all about how you talk to people. And I don't want to necessarily say it's like, being a salesman, but if you talk to people and you explain to them, listen, here's why I put, none of this, I need your license, registration, I'll be right back. No, explain to them, hey, listen, I stopped you for your speed today, I clocked you with the laser before you got to me. Were you paying attention how fast you were going? Okay, well, the speed limit's 70, I clocked you at 87, okay? Where are you coming from today? Where are you headed to? All right, well, sit tight, I'll be right back with you. Go back, write a ticket, okay? Go back, explain the ticket, hey, here's the deal. Like I told you, 17 over. I wrote you a ticket for the speed today, but I did you a favor. I cut it down and wrote you for 80 and a 70. 10 over instead of the full 17. Okay? Here's your court date. Make sure you take care of it before then, but don't forget about it. Call the phone number at the bottom. If you have any questions, those ladies at the courthouse will help you out. And almost 99 out of 100 times, it's thank you very much. It's all about how you approach it and being personable with people because they're humans just the same as we are. I'm not out here to make anything personal. I'm just doing a job. It's just traffic enforcement. It's just trying to maintain the safety of not only you, but for every other motorist you're passing in here.
So I've always, when Lily got her license, that's what I told her. Like, if you're already late, you might as well not speed. If you get pulled over, it's just going to take that much more time, number one. But I'd rather you be late and make it than not make it,
Yep, I'd heard on the radio when a local officer had pulled over my daughter, and
wait, this is
I hadn't thought about that. Poor girl.
Here we go. So I'd sent her a message. I said, make sure you tell Terry I said hello. He's already gone. It's like, okay. All right. Well, just so you know, I know what happened.
That'd be better than Life 360.
Yeah, that is fantastic.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, what? Oh,
that
hold
is
up.
great.
Oh.
That is great. So, like at first, like, did you hear the make and model of the car, and like, what, like at first, were you
Ears
like,
perked
what?
up.
Yeah, what's going on here? What's going on? You know.
When they ran either the plate or the or her driver's license, and I caught the last name, I was like, oh, him, yep, oh no.
Oh no! Here we
young
go.
lady.
Here we go. Yeah.
Like, well,
But here's the thing I think of on that. It's okay. I always try to find the positives. The positives are, yes, they got pulled over. There's going to be, a ticket possibly, and going to get into the pocketbook a little bit, their money. But it might next time when they get back on that road slow them down. This might be actually a lifesaver that might change their way of, I don't want to have a ticket again. I don't want to do this, and therefore I'm going to allow extra time to get to my destination, or I'm going to slow down and be late. That little bit of if you will, the reminder of what's going on the road and how serious this is might be a wake-up call.
Well, quick story. I had stopped the son of one of my shift partners.
I like your stories, yeah.
And I looked at his license and I was like, oh, wait a second. And I was thinking about the car, and I asked if is your dad named so-and-so? Yeah. I said, is this the car you and your dad went to Chicago and just picked up? He looked at me, he goes, yeah. I was like, okay, all right. Well, I let him off with a warning. And I wasn't going to tell his dad. I wasn't going to be that guy that dimed him out. It wasn't 5 minutes later, his dad calls me. And, hey, did you stop so-and-so? Yeah, I don't know. Did I? I said, wait a second. He told you? He goes, oh, yeah. He told me that you pulled him over. I was like, well, how about that? I couldn't believe that. He's like, next time, write him a ticket. I said, I am absolutely not going to do that to you. No. I said, I think he's learned his lesson. He'll be all right. So. But the fact
cool,
that he.
that's cool, boy. Yeah, to tell. Yeah.
That he called his dad right away. Oh man, I got pulled over by one of your buddies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well, okay.
That's
I'm
cool.
not so sure my kids would have done that. They let me. I didn't.
They might have sat on it a little bit longer. Yeah.
I
think we all we're all human. We're going to make mistakes, and we do know though these mistakes can be so I guess much of an impact. We're talking vehicles. I don't know how many pounds a vehicle is, but you're talking about an impact, and you're talking about also. I always try to explain to my girls that it's not just your life. If you were to take someone's life, if you've done something irresponsible, which happens, this is the rest of your life that you're going to be living with. This is where you want to be so responsible. We know accidents happen, and I know sometimes that's there's nothing you can change on that. But if you can do your best to be the best driver and do your best part, that's what's important.
That's a lot of weight to bear if you caused a crash that took somebody else's life.
Absolutely.
And you're right. That is something you have to bear pretty much for the rest of your life. If you can learn from a mistake and not be in any sort of that type of position.
Right.
Hey, I did this, I goofed. I know now not to do like that because bad things can happen. Then it's a learning experience and you move on.
Right.
That's a win.
Yeah.
If we catch you doing something and you're like, ooh, I'm not going to do that again. Beyond just I don't want to get pulled over, but what I did could have actually hurt somebody. Well, then hey, then I've done a good job because I've made an impact on you to the extent that you've changed your driving behavior and corrected it to where you're going to be safer going forward from here out. So that's certainly more of a win for me than just writing a piece of paper.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm after.
Right.
Is having that compliance in your mind of, hey, I need to be safe out here on my own without being influenced by law enforcement to do so.
Right. So, Phillip, we've got so much to cover, my goodness. But I want to.
You're just going to have me back.
I think we are going to have to. Yeah. But let's go back real quick, and then we want to. I've got other things to go on to, but let's go back over. Okay, so all of a sudden we're pulled over. Okay, so the lights come on. What I call them blueberries and cherries. When the blueberries and cherries come on, and you see them, and okay, so we pull over to the side, what's it called, the shoulder. Okay, the shoulder. Couldn't think. Shoulder. You can pull over to the shoulder. Okay, and then take it from there. What do we do as a driver?
Put the car in park and just go ahead and put your hands on the steering wheel until we get up to the window. to say, well, I was going to go ahead and get my license registration for you. No, I'll stand there at the window and wait while you give me your license and registration. But the most important thing is you take the tension out of a lot of officers, especially your younger guys. If you're moving around in the car, what are you looking for? Because we don't know you. We don't know who we've pulled over necessarily. So if you're fishing around in the car, what are you reaching for? If, no big deal, put your hands on the wheel, go ahead and roll your window down, hands on the wheel. We'll get up there and tell you what we need, tell you why we're there, tell you why we've got you pulled over. And we're going to try to make this as quick as possible because we don't want to take any more of your time than we need to. So if your hands are on the wheel, give us a, hey, how you doing? Hey, how's it going today? Need your license registration. Okay. Tell me what you're doing as you're doing it. Well, I got my license in my wallet back here. Okay, cool. Go ahead and get it. My registration's in the glove box. Yeah, go ahead and get that. That's fine. Rather than having any sort of sudden movement, jerking around, reaching in weird places, hey, my wallet's or my ID's in my purse. Okay, go ahead and get your purse. That's fine. If you just tell us what you're doing as you're doing it, that makes it even better because you're cutting, as you do that, you're helping to cut that tension down because let's face it, nobody wants to get pulled over and it's an uncomfortable situation every time it happens, right?
Sure.
Your heart rate goes up, it's tense, it's like this is terrible, this you just ruined my day for pulling me over, man. So as whatever we can do in our mannerisms to cut the tension, we do. Whatever you can do to kind of just help that along and facilitate that, that's an added benefit as well for both of us. That makes it very easy. So we'll tell you what we're doing as we're there. We'll go back to our car. It's only going to take a couple minutes because it's a lot quicker than handwriting tickets, I can tell you that. We punch it into the computer, we come back up, we tell you the outcome, and we send you on your way. And that's, don't be, the roadside is not the place to argue your case if you think you were unjustly written a ticket. I can tell you that, because the only thing that's going to happen is two people are going to leave that traffic stop mad, you and the police officer, and nothing else is going to be resolved. You still have the ticket in your hand. If, hey, okay, I don't think I was doing this, but in the back of your mind you're thinking, I don't think I was going that fast. If you can prove it, if you can show you weren't, hey, we simply forward this to the court process. A traffic ticket is a civil violation. You go to court because that's your right. And then we argue it. That's where we argue and talk. Roadside, nah, because the more heated it gets, you're just going to have two people heated as they're driving off, and the outcome's going to stay the same. That's not going to change anything. So I know being pulled over is certainly an uncomfortable situation. We try to reduce that as best we can just by, and I stress this with folks at the academy. If you're going to chew somebody out, you better not write them a ticket, because being ripped and being given a ticket is uncalled for. Don't do that. That's just unprofessional, and that's no way to be. If you're going to chew some kid's butt because they were doing something wrong out here, then let them off with a warning. They've learned their lesson and be on their way. Don't do both because you're just a jerk. There's no getting around that. There's no reason to be that way.
Don't be that way.
I always think don't argue with the officer like you don't argue with the person handling your food.
No, that's true. That is true.
I mean,
you're right. That's exactly right.
I mean, if we pull you over and we're standing there, there's a 100% reason. It's not like we're guessing.
Right.
We're not throwing darts. We
Right.
know, and especially with cameras. The cameras in our cars.
Oh, I love that.
If it's a moving
yeah,
violation,
yeah.
we'll go back and show you. Yeah, here's what you did.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Now, if somebody has a carry permit and they're carrying, when you are pulled over and you have your hands on the wheel and all that, would you prefer somebody to say, hey, there's a
Yes.
gun in my purse
Yes.
for this reason, I just want you to be aware?
Right.
Is that
is your absolute God-given right to carry a firearm. And if you just tell me, hey, just to let you know, I've got a handgun on my waist, I have a handgun in my purse. Okay, cool. That's awesome. Thanks for telling me. I'm not going to ask for it. I'm not going to take it from you. But you telling me where it's at. So first off, it's highly unlikely if you tell me that you've got it that you're going to pull it out and point it at me.
Yeah.
But at least I know to be a little bit more cautious and careful, i.e. extraordinarily attentive. If you reach into that certain area of the car or on your person, I am watching you like a hawk. It's not that I don't trust you. Since you've told me, it's just that that's my reaction to that. So don't be offended by that. But yeah, absolutely. If you do have a gun in the car, I 100% support that as long as you're a legal citizen. But you know, just telling me, cool. I'm not gonna do anything with it. I'm not gonna take it from you. But you telling me, that automatically cuts a lot of tension down.
Right.
That helps.
Well, I think we just real quick on it in that this chapter on note is to realize when we're pulled over, we lose all of our privileges, our driving privileges, until we are completely under your what your commands or what you're telling us to do. And I think that's something that a lot of times people don't realize, that to have the hands up and wait for what you ask for us, as you ask for us. And I think Jamie brought up a good point, because if you do open up that glove compartment, or you open up that purse, and Phillip, if you were to see a gun, it would be better for her to be proactive. Again, we talk about being, and saying, I do have a gun.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we pull you over, you are being essentially detained for a moment until we let you
I think
go.
it's good to think that way. I think it's good for people to realize, you violated, and therefore, until you are, what direction to go, you will.
When we turn the lights on you and we stop behind you, we have a legal right and obligation and authority to stop you. That we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna make it quick. We're gonna make it as easy as we can. It doesn't make it any less stressful for you. I understand. And then once we say, we're done, I'm walking back to my car, you want to take off, have at it. That's
John Mellencamp taught us, I fight authority always wins. Right?
Yep, I fought the law and the law won.
There we go.
Yep. That's right.
Okay, no, I can go into don't get me started.
Indiana wants me, but I can't go back.
Oh, Phillip, that's exactly right. Yeah. All right. So real quick, we one more thing, and then I know we're getting close. We are going to have you back. Let's go back real quick on safety, if because they are talking maybe some flurries and stuff. If we get stranded, or what do you like as far as, or give us some road safety too on that?
If roads start getting bad and we start having snow move in, which it's possible the way things are shaping up, we could have some cold air moving in by the middle of next week. So temperatures may start dropping. I don't know that it's going to get bad enough to where we start seeing snow, but that's going to eventually happen. That's a situation where when we do have snow, we do have ice, we pretty much put everybody out on the road. If you break down, let's go back. It's important when you know you've got inclement weather coming in that you keep your gas tank topped off. Because if you do end up on the side of the road and you're stuck there for a little bit, you don't want that car to die. If the snow is just coming down, you break down, make sure you've got your flashers on. I would even turn your bright lights on. Doesn't matter if it's the middle of the day. Make it to where people can see you even through the snow. You may have to get out every once and again to brush off your taillights, your headlights, keep your exhaust pipe clear, because if the snow starts building up and that clogs up, it's going to shut the car down. Basically the car's going to choke on its exhaust. Yep. So you want to keep a lot of that stuff clear. Keep some blankets in the car. Make sure your phone's charged to where you can still try to get help. Make sure you know where you're at. And I would encourage you not to travel too far if you know the snow's coming in. You reschedule your trip. Try to leave in advance. Just wait. If you don't have to be out on the road, don't be. There's nothing that I can do to keep you from driving out there if it starts to snow. But you're kind of at your own peril. If something goes wrong, then we've got to get to you. We're going to try to do our best, and normally we can get to you, but there's going to be other people in the same boat. So just be planning ahead. Make sure you're watching the forecast. If you don't have to be out in it, don't. Otherwise, blankets in the car, phone chargers, keep a few bottles of water, and make sure that gas tank is topped off, and then keep some sort of scraper or brush to where you can keep your lights and your exhaust clear to keep that car running visible.
I always make Lily carry a little bit of salt too, so if back tire just slides off, if she can put a little bit.
Yeah, if you're barely just off, kind of come off, and you've lost a little bit of traction, if you got some kitty litter, if you can throw that in the trunk, something to put down to kind of help regain that traction just enough to get you back on the road and on your way, and that's pretty easy. I guess you could go so far as to put a snow shovel in there as well. I laugh when we do have snow events. I do put a snow shovel in my police car to help if things are kind of rough, and all I've got to do is dig you out a little and push you. Yeah. Let's do that. That means trying to tow you out.
Yeah. Definitely.
So.
Yeah, Lily definitely ain't carrying a shovel, I can assure you. She ain't that kind of girl.
But whatever you can do, just be planning ahead and paying attention to those weather forecasts.
Right. Well, and that's good, and we've come a long way with that too.
Yes.
I mean, and we know weather, and you,
Yeah.
and we know that. I mean, you go back years ago from, because I was raised here, and years ago we had. I mean, we've always worked well with the National Weather Service. We've always had, had the best of the best. But from that day till now, man, the way they can predict it. Sometimes they miss it, but a lot of times they're point on, on point.
Right. When you're looking at more nowcasting, using some of the models that go hour by hour and with a small distance within their grid, some of these computers, they're some of the largest supercomputers in the world are the weather modeling computers. And if you have the right meteorologist, i.e. me,
yeah.
when you break it down, people say, oh, it'll be 2 to 4 inches. You have to know what you're looking for within those models and within some of the graphs to kind of plan ahead. I can tell you basically the snow rate, how much we're going to get, and kind of pin it down almost to the inch just by the things I look at. And you're like, what are you talking about, guy? I actually do have a bachelor's and my master's degree in meteorology, so I do know a little bit.
I know.
Yeah, so trust me, when it gets bad, the phone starts ringing from my people. Are we getting snow? Where? When? How much? It's like, I got you.
I got you. I can do this. I got you. I'm gonna have you on speed dial. You know?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it is a blessing, and it really blends beautiful with what you do. I mean, it complements each other.
That it's kind of just keeps that evolution of public safety going. So it's a different realm and sort of a different area of public safety what I'm doing now. Mm-hmm. But when I do decide to leave this job and go full-time into meteorology, it's still serving the public.
Absolutely.
Just in a different capacity.
Right. Well, and also, I mean, we just talked about how down here in the southern Indiana part, in the Kentuckiana area, mm-hmm. all the roads. I mean, how many roads we have, and what driving conditions. It perfectly goes together.
And you guys know this. The area we live in, we get all 4 seasons, and we get them pretty well.
We do.
Yeah.
We get the heat. In the same day.
Yeah.
Yes, we get the heat, we get the humidity, we get the cold, we get the snow. So
right, yeah.
You have to be prepared for all of that throughout the course of the year, and it should come as no surprise to people around here. Yes, it's going to get cold. Yes, we're likely going to have some ice at some point. And yes, it's going to snow. So plan ahead. We're coming into that season now, getting ready to start getting a taste of that as we come towards the end of the month of November. Yeah. Start getting some stuff lined up. Just throw it in your trunk, or say trunk like so many cars are out there. Put it somewhere in your SUV or van,
3 decades of radio gold. The Rick and Bubba Show.
We're back, 866 We Be Big. We'll get some more phone calls before the day is done. Golden ticket seats join us now. We got Speedy, Greg, and Adler all here today. And say hello to Bill Bubba Buster.
Rick, glad to be here. Thank all of you for joining us today, and we appreciate it. It is the little party we call Rick and Bubba.
Yes, and they're all here. There's the golden ticket seats.
Yep.
They come from all over.
That's a happy-looking bunch.
Most of them are first-timers. Most of them have never been to see a show at any studio. Have some that have seen us at the old studio, and then we do have one that has seen us quite a few times.
Who could that be?
Who's that? But you know what? But again, she's very smart. She's has her friend with her, and they brought goodies. Not that anybody, and I know sausage balls.
It's a big banner day.
Yeah, it is. And
I saw cheese straws back there.
And we always say every week
from Selma.
To those of you that didn't bring us anything, you're gift enough.
That's right.
Okay,
right.
And
don't feel bad.
How about my man over here outnumbered?
I know.
Yeah. Good.
It's all women except for one guy.
He said, "I'm over here if you need me."
Oh my goodness. You're in an estrogen dome. So anyway, if you want to come sit over here with us, you could. Yeah. Pull him up. Let him sit over here.
Yeah. Get him over there.
That's great. Well, welcome. We're glad that you're all here, and look forward to spending time with you for the next couple of hours as you watch the show, as Bubba and I have warned over years when we started having a studio audience, eating sausage is one thing, watching how it's made.
Oh, that's a whole different deal.
Now, you may leave here today going, in my mind, I actually thought maybe they worked harder.
Yeah. When Jimmy Dean's frying up sausages one way, when you go to the plant, it's a whole nother deal, man.
When they're stacking them.
Yeah.
Some people say they now have anxiety listening because they're like, they really don't plan anything. It just really feels like they're just hanging out, and they seem to be surprised by the intro music.
Yeah.
So
Time to get back.
All right, so we do have some things that we somewhat planned. Adler and Speedy put these together, and then Bubba and I sit there and go, how about these? We're into the mode of, watching those that were, telling us that Orange Man bad. Orange Man gonna get us, Orange Man bad. Now they're watching him put together his administration, and this is what I call like the second meltdown.
Oh, yeah. Well, you knew it was coming.
So here's AOC.
And we all are really concerned about her thoughts on this.
Oh, always. You won't believe how many times I go, I don't know what to do here. I wish AOC was here. I wish I could ask her. So here she is talking about Tulsi Gabbard and her appointment. Here we go.
And we haven't even gotten to Tulsi Gabbard potentially having access to national security information. And Russia loves it, loves her.
And I actually think almost more than Matt Gaetz, Tulsi Gabbard's appointment is devastating. And Tulsi Gabbard's nomination, as much as she says that she's an anti-war person, she's not.
Yeah.
She supports very pro-war individuals,
including
abroad.
in Syria.
And let's be very clear,
Yeah.
a Tulsi Gabbard nomination is a pro-war nomination globally. Point blank, period.
As is Donald Trump as president of the United States.
Sorry about that one. That was already been appointed.
What in the world?
Well, I mean, she's
They're losing their mind.
Well, these women, they say they want these women to have these.
Why are they
really,
not supporting a woman who is going to be the first-time head of the Department of National Intelligence?
This is the problem. The minute you try to do what you think they want you to do, here's Trump again, not being a very good misogynist, putting this woman in a very influential position. And what did the women say? Well, I don't know who she thinks she is. I mean, and so now it's all
she's
gone.
A
war. She's a war. I love this. She's not anti-war. Where are these people? Well, I mean, she's pro-war.
Yeah.
Where are these people that love war? I mean, I think we all want to avoid it if possible.
She has been anti-war and has said that many times. We saw that in Donald Trump's presidency too. So for them to lump them together both as pro-war is just an absolute fallacy. Peace through strength is Donald Trump's global approach. And Tulsi Gabbard definitely follows along with that, and I totally support that. Peace through strength, that's the way to go.
Yeah, I don't think anybody should ever say that, be careful though, that I'm anti-war under any circumstance, because I'm not.
Yeah.
There's sometimes I'm pro-war.
You got to be.
Now, if we're going to have a clear, defined strategy, and our goal is all-out victory to destroy the enemies of our nation and people of the world, then I'm all in for war. What I'm anti is wars that don't seem to have any game plan. They don't seem to be going anywhere, and they accomplish nothing, and they put people unnecessarily at risk.
So what is this pro-Putin thing with her? What is the deal with that? Are they going to try to run the Russia plan again? I mean, we ran that play before.
Didn't work.
It got stuffed at the goal line.
Let me tell you what the Democrats right now. You ever sit in the stands, you scream at your team, why do we keep trying this play that doesn't work? And now you're really, if you're a Democrat, you're watching your team run into the line of scrimmage for no gain again. And they're like, well, we just keep doing it. Look, they don't have anything new to say, Bubba.
Rick, I think the most important thing, and you said it, we were told Donald Trump was Hitler. He was dictator, the long list, and they always threw in misogynist.
Of course, you have to.
So he has appointed women to several key positions in his cabinet. If he is a misogynist, he's not a very good one.
No, he's not. And I'll tell you, back on the other one they throw in, racist. Man, I'm telling you, there were a lot of minorities that did not see him very racist at all when they went out and cast their vote for him and put him over the top. Yeah.
This whole Russia thing, they paint anybody
Russia.
who doesn't want to give billions and billions of taxpayer dollars to Ukraine for infinity. They paint anybody that doesn't want to do that as a friend of Vladimir Putin.
All right, you're going to make Jimmy Kimmel cry again.
Vladimir Putin.
Here's Scott Jennings. We can't. Every day I just like to have a Scott Jennings nugget.
Have we heard who press secretary is going to be yet? Because that's going to be the one we're going to see all the time.
Yeah, I like him as one.
Oh, he would be good at it.
Shutting down, as he does most every day on this program, shuts down 2 CNN panelists. Here we go.
If we're being intellectually honest, there's really no good reason why Bobby Kennedy, RFK Jr., should be HHS secretary. An advisor, a confidant, somebody who talks to the president and advises, but there's no managerial experience in his resume. There's nothing that says he is qualified to do this job that is in charge of the health of all of us, all these different lanes. If he has views and has insights around food sources, around vaccines, then those should be given in advisory roles.
Why?
Well, because...
Well, what were the qualifications of the previous ones?
Well, I think it's important to always remember that you put yourself... Say that again?
What were the management qualifications? I mean, Xavier Becerra...
I'm not talking about the previous. I'm looking forward.
No, but you're calling into question whether he could actually do this job. And I think it's...
Absolutely. I think America is now, and I think
it's important to discuss it, because Xavier Becerra was just a lawyer and a politician with no management experience.
So does two negatives, two wrongs make a right?
Sylvia Burwell was a Walmart lobbyist. Donna Shalala was a university person. Look,
RFK Jr. is a nut.
Okay, so that's different than what you just said. You just said he doesn't possess the requisite managerial experience, but then we get to the real issue here, which is you want to insult the man, which is your right to do because you opposed him in the election. But you, doctor, are raising the issues that he has been raising, and I think they're appropriate questions to raise. I don't know whether he can be confirmed or not. The vaccine stuff at the table is obviously going to be the flashpoint of this hearing. But I'll tell you one thing. This whole issue of the CDC and these public health agencies, look, public trust in the health regime in this country is as low as it's ever been.
But why?
It's because of COVID.
Right.
Because of school closures. Because of mask mandates. Because this country was... But let me just finish. Because this country was drugged through a bunch of condescending and heavy-handed mandates that all turned out to be garbage, and that's why it's low, and the questions are valid.
And RFK is the answer to all of that.
Yeah, but RFK helped promote the assault on the CDC that lowered the disinformation that led to
CDC led to its own demise.
Deaths, Scott. More than 1 million deaths in the United States, higher than any other industrialized nation per capita. That's the result of failed policies, the demonization of the conspiracy theories.
Whose policies?
All right.
Under the Trump.
Absolutely insane. It's RFK's fault. Nobody trusts the CDC. Yeah, okay, pal. Goodness gracious. And the first guy that was talking, his name is Jeff, but he spells it Geoff. Can we trust that guy? No.
Geoff. That to me, that's working way too hard, as Craig Shoemaker says.
Yeah.
Geoff.
Why go all that way?
Jeff is a simple name. Don't try to make it any more edgy. We had one more. Sonny Halston says she may have cost Kamala the election.
Oh, I love she thinks it may be her fault.
We'll be right back.
Rick and Bubba, Rick and Bubba.